guys, welcome to level D. Make sure that you have the correct paper. The first problem on your sheet should look like the image that you see on the screen. And it asks us to find the area of the following shape. So just like when we did trapezoids and our octagons and hexagons, we are going to cut this up into shapes that we know how to solve. So I can see I can cut these into two rectangles. There's multiple ways I could cut this. I'm just gonna go right here, I think, and cut that off. So I have the tall rectangle going up and then the one going across. And since I have two different shapes, I'm gonna label them differently. So I'm gonna call this rectangle A and this rectangle B. So for rectangle A, it is a rectangle, so our formula is going to be the length times the width, or the base times the height. And for this one, you can see they actually already gave us right here, there's our height, and right here is our width, or our length and our width. Okay, so we're going to use the numbers 8 and 5 because that's showing us that whole side that we're trying to look at. So I'm going to do 8 times 5, which is 40. Then when I go over to my blue rectangle, I can see here my height is 3. So I know I'm going to use 3. So area, again, is length times width. So I'm going to do 3 times something. But this 12 that they're giving me is all the way across this whole side. I'm not looking at this entire side. I'm only trying to look at this portion of it. So I kind of have a missing side length here that we need to figure out. So if I know that this entire side length here that I'm doing in yellow is worth 12, but I only want from here to here, I'm going to have to do some subtracting. So I've got my whole side length of 12 minus, and we're always looking for sides that are going the same direction, that are like parallel. So that 12 is going across this direction, side to side, side to side. So I'm looking here at this 5. That's what I'm going to subtract because I know the whole thing across is 12. If I subtract out this 5, that's going to leave me what's left over here for this side. So again, I'm going to do the 12 minus 5, and that is going to give me 7. So I'm going to use 7 for this side length. So back to our formula, length times width, we have 3 times 7, which is 21. Once I find the areas of all my pieces, now I just need to add them up. So I'm going to take 40 plus 21, which gives me 61. They didn't tell me it was feet or inches or centimeters or anything. They didn't give me a unit. Anytime they don't give you a unit, we just put a U for units, or you can write the word units. And it is still area, so units squared, or U squared. And that is our final answer for number 1. All right, so looking at the second shape, looks like I'm going to have to cut it into 3 rectangles. So again, there's lots of ways I can do this. I think I'm going to just cut it here, cut this little rectangle off and cut this little rectangle off. So I have 3 different shapes now. I've got A, B, and C. So for rectangle A, again, I got to find those side lengths so I can see the 16 is this whole side. So I know I'm going to use that. I'm going to have the area, it's a rectangle, so it's length times width. And I know I'm using 16 times something. But when I look here, the 28 they give me going across, that's this whole bottom side. So I don't know what just this portion is that I'm trying to find. So again, I've got kind of a missing side length that I need to figure out. So I know the whole thing is 28. So I'm just going to do 28. Since that's the whole thing, I'm going to have to subtract to find that just that one little portion. So I know I'm going to do 28 minus something. When I go back, remember I'm looking for parallel lines. So if this is going this way, I want to find another line that's going that same direction, like right here. So if I take this 8 out of the whole 28, that will tell me what's left over just for this side. So I'm gonna do 28 minus 8, which gives me 20. So this side length I am calling 20 yards. So back to my rectangle A, I've got 16 times 20, which punch that into your calculator. It will give you 320. That is for rectangle A. So now to rectangle B. Again, it's a rectangle, so length times width. This one's a little bit trickier because it doesn't have any numbers labeled on it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and tell you, and we probably should have labeled the picture a little better, but I'm gonna tell you that this side length matches this one. So if this was 8 yards, I'm telling you that this one is also 8 yards. So we're just gonna go with that. Again, sorry we didn't label that a little bit better. So I know I'm gonna take 8 times something. The trick is this piece. I cannot assume that that matches that. It looks like they're the same, but we really should check and make sure. And luckily we actually have enough pieces to figure that out. So remember, we're trying to look at parallel sides, so others that are going the same direction. That's how we're gonna figure this out. So I know the whole thing from top to bottom of the shape is 16 yards. So I'm gonna take my 16 and have to do some subtracting. So I also can see that this piece right here that I'm kind of highlighting is 8 yards, and this piece right here is 5 yards of that total 16. So I'm going to do subtraction with those two numbers to see what's left over for that other side that we are missing. So I'm going to do 16 minus 8 first, which gives me 8, and then I'm going to subtract the other 5. So 8 minus 5 gives me 3 left over. So really this side right here is 3. It's not 5 yards. Remember, if you have those numbers, use them. Don't just assume things are equal even if they kind of look like it. Okay, so I'm going to use for my B rectangle, I've got 8 times 3, which is 24. Finally, I have rectangle C. Again, it's a rectangle, so length times width. Okay, which they did give me both side lengths for this one. They've got 8 right here and 5 right here. So 8 times 5, which is 40. Once I find all my pieces, then I just add them all up. So I've got 320 plus 24 plus 40, which gives me 384. This time they did tell me it was yards, so yards squared. And that is my final answer for this second shape. Okay, you're gonna move on to level E. Remember, you're gonna be missing numbers, just like we did here. Look for the parallel sides, the ones going the same direction, to help you find those missing numbers.